All right. We are thrilled to be here.
That was a big thrill.
That's how
Yeah,
thrilled we are.
yeah.
It is a long thrill because our long thrill lasts a long time. Our thrill is consistently with us. We are thrilled to be here, and when we are not here, we are thrilled not to be here. We are thrilled to be wherever we are. We take that exuberance and enthusiasm wherever we are, wherever we go. We don't let the conditions choose how we feel. We choose to be thrilled, and then as a result of that, the conditions fall in line. That's just how this universe works. It is easy. Be thrilled, expect to be thrilled, expect to have fun, and allow the conditions to unfold as they are, noticing that they are on their way to being what you want them to be. And if you perceive them as not being thrilling or fun or enjoyable or happy or satisfying, well, you are just not seeing the manifestation of what's going to occur. You see, the conditions don't change right away. There's a time lag. This is physical reality. In physical reality, they're always moving. Actually, they're not moving. You're moving. You're moving from one dimension into the next one, into the next one, into the next one, into the one that's ready for you when you're ready for it. Do you understand how that works? So if you see something that looks like a condition that isn't perfect right now, and you say, it's not perfect right now, you're just saying, I can't see how it's going to happen. Well, sure, you can't see how it's going to happen because your perspective is limited. You chose a limited perspective. This is physical reality. You didn't want to see everything as it's unfolding. You just want to have faith that it would all unfold perfectly. And that's all you need to do. Now, if you just jumped from one perfect condition into another perfect condition, what would that be like? Well, it would be bliss. It'd be wonderful. But so what's the difference between the condition you're in now that seems perfect, seems wonderful, seems great, seems you're enjoying, and the condition 5 minutes from now that doesn't seem as good? What's the difference? It's your perception of what's happening. It's your decision to choose an idea, a perspective that is not in alignment with your inner self. And you get a nice little notification, don't you? You notice that, oh, I don't feel as good now. Why is that? Because I've decided to perceive this reality in a way that brings up some fear, and that fear is the notification that I'm perceiving it in a way that's different than my inner self. So, how about now? How about we just say, this perception of reality is aligned with my inner self's perception of reality, and as a result, I feel good. Now, sure, these conditions are easy. My mate isn't here. My children aren't here. Nobody's complaining. I'm by myself. Everything seems fine. Then you get to another condition where someone says something you don't like, or someone does something you don't like, or something happens you judge as wrong. All these little things are you just perceiving your reality in a way that is not empowering, and it causes you to feel like something's going wrong. Does that make sense to anyone?
Yes.
Yes.
This is Nikki.
Hi, Nikki. Does that make sense to
Hi.
you?
Yeah, it was like directly what I just lived. So
you went to London. You had set
Yeah.
your intentions to have a good time. You
Yep.
allowed the conditions to be what they were because you were in a state of allowing. And the conditions
Yes.
unfolded perfectly, and you could see that they were unfolding according to the intentions that you set. So this gave you this reinforcement from your inner self saying, I see this, I perceive this as good, my inner self perceives this as good, therefore I feel good. Then,
Yep.
when you came back home and you got back into your life, You got back in
Yeah.
your habit of judging it as wrong or bad or not exactly perfect.
It was the contrast was just so great. I mean, I had so many incredible manifestations of all these wonderful things that when I came back, it was so drastic to me. It just hit me. I didn't even have time to, I couldn't even pave. I wasn't ready. It surprised me.
So
And I
how
just
did you
shot
get
down really
from
quick.
London to Paris?
From London to Paris, I took the train.
And on the train, did you have any time alone?
Yes.
And when you were alone, was there anything you could have possibly done?
Yes, I could have set some intentions to
And what would those intentions be?
that I'm going to see the qualities in my husband and appreciate all the great things he does.
And?
See him as perfect.
And?
See myself as perfect.
Exactly. Exactly. So if I happen to get in a little emotional dip because I happen to be deciding that this reality is not good as the last reality because I can't see how this is all playing out. I can't see 3 months down the road. I can't see where this is all going. I'm just saying it's wrong, just for no reason. I'm just saying it's wrong, right? If I happen to do that myself, then that's okay too. Because I am perfect as I am. And it will come along, and I will see it. And I'm here in this program. I am talking to infinite intelligence. I am learning every day. I'm choosing my reality every day. Things are obviously different now than they were a month ago or 2 weeks ago or a day ago. Look at what's happening now. It's moving forward. It's moving forward. I'm shifting into a new reality every single minute, every single day. Shifting. I can't help shifting. I am sorting out my preferences, and it's all working out. And if you say that, it's all working out. And, I just got this indication from my inner self that I'm perceiving it as not working out. So let's go off maybe into the kitchen and let's refocus and set some intentions before I go to sleep, set some intentions before I wake up or after I wake up, and try again tomorrow.
Yeah, I just got caught up in the moment, the externals, and I just saw everything as wrong for... And well, the good news is that I didn't beat myself up. I just shifted.
Just shift.
So
that's all you have to do is shift. You're always shifting.
Yeah. And then it all turned out okay, and we had a good day, and we're back on track.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And so, what's going to happen tomorrow?
Well, before I go to sleep, I'm going to set some more intentions.
And then what? And then when you wake up in the morning, what are you going to do?
Well, I'm gonna meditate.
And set some more intentions.
And set some more intentions.
And then just allow it to be as it's going to be. Because it's unfolding. It is happening. You are moving from dimension to dimension to dimension. Tomorrow will be another dimension. Completely different than today's dimension. You will have raised your vibration throughout the day. The more you think about what you want, the more you think about how reality really works, the more you talk to us, the more you read, that sort of thing. You're raising your you're raising your vibration, you're getting higher, you're getting ready for more, you're proving to the universe that you can maintain your focus on what's wanted. The universe rewards you. We will say reward, but not really, it's just how it works out. Gravity doesn't reward you by dropping the ball back into your hand once you throw it up. It's just how it is, right? It's not a reward from gravity, it's not a reward from the universe, it's just how it is, it's the system. So as you focus on what you want, what you prefer, what you think is good, then you move into dimensions that reflects that. The better you feel about yourself, the new dimension will make you feel good about yourself. The more you... Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, it was just so much easier when I could just be pissed off.
Why is that easy?
Well, that was easy because then I didn't have to take any responsibility and it was his fault.
But why is that easy?
Because I don't have to do any work on myself.
But then you end up in a reality where you have no control, you're just a victim.
Yeah, it's true. It's
just
true. And now that
lucky
I'm not a
or not.
victim, it's a lot of work. Sometimes it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work only because you've been living by another approach to life for so long, by the approach of controlling. But guess what? Controlling is a lot of work. That's the work.
Yeah.
Going with the flow, that's easy. Maintaining your focus on what you thought. If you were taught this as a child, this would be easy. But what you were taught was controlling. So The opposite of controlling seems difficult. It's just because it's new. Once you get used to it, once you get good at it, once you get good at being who you are and realizing that being who you are is all you need to be, being the authentic self, it's just practice. You get used to it, and then you start to demand it, and then you start to say, hey, this isn't in line with who I am. This part of my reality is not in line with who I am. Why is that happening? Well, because I'm not choosing to feel this way about myself. If I am receiving criticism, then I have to ask myself why. Why would I need to receive criticism from someone else?
Well, what's this business about people being mirrors? How can he be a mirror to me? We're not anything alike.
Exactly. You're not alike. Isn't it interesting how couples don't always go with what's alike? They go with the opposite. Isn't that interesting? Why is that? Because the opposite can be the mirror to you, not the alike. It's the opposite.
How can the opposite be a mirror?
Okay. So how is your husband opposite to you?
Well, he's grouchy, and
you are what?
First, I'm an uplifter and happy.
You're uplifter and happy, and he's grouchy and judgmental.
Yes.
And who judges him as grouchy and judgmental?
Me.
Who makes you grouchy when they're grouchy?
I make me grouchy.
Right. Okay. So, the idea is that if he is judgmental, and you notice that about him, and you think that is a trait that's horrible, and so you try not to be judgmental, you are just reflecting back your judgment of him back to you. And you're thinking it's wrong for him to be judgmental. Now that you especially know about law of attraction, you realize that as he is complaining about things and judging things as wrong, that he is attracting more of that to him. But here he is in your reality where you are attracting someone who's complaining and judgmental. Right?
Yeah.
So what is it about you that needs to see this so obviously? And it always comes back to how you feel about yourself. So if you can realize that you're not a victim, that you're not wrong, that you're not bad, that you are worthy, that you're worthy of someone who is going to see the world in the way that you want to see it, right? Who's going to treat you the way that you should be treated. Now, you are always treated the way you think you should be treated. So if you are treated differently than how you think you should be treated, well, then you're not believing that as who you, as the worthiness that you are. So if you come to grips of that idea, which may take a little time to develop, because now that you know that you create your reality, you create your own preferences, and you say, I am worthy of being treated the way I want to be treated. Why aren't I treated? Why do I put up with it? Why do I allow it? Well, I allow it because I'm afraid of what might happen. Well, that fear of what might happen is just saying to yourself that you don't believe what you believe. Right? You don't believe that you're the creator of your reality. You don't believe that you're not a victim, that you are actually the one in charge. You don't believe that you can focus. You don't believe that the universe will bring you what you truly want. Because you have the fear. Well, that just takes a little time to get used to. And you have been in this conversation for a little while. And as you go through it, you will notice shifts happening. Things will start to be different. How you are feeling about yourself will change. As a result of that, the world around you will change. As a result of that, things like this weekend will happen for you. Easy things will happen for you to make you notice how you have changed, what you are intending. Just the awareness of how the physical manifestation of reality works in your life causes you to look for it and see when it happens. Notice that you met somebody that was totally in line with what you wanted at that time. You were open to it. You weren't resisting it at all. And there she pops into your reality.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah. And so that's how everything works. But when you get home, it seems like it's more concrete. It seems like it's more fixed in stone.
It feels like way more work.
But is it really way more work? Is it really, or does it just feel like it?
Maybe it just feels like it. Maybe it's because I think we have a lot of momentum.
Momentum. You have a lot of momentum, it's true. And this ship turns slowly. And as you start it to turn now, you will gradually see the change. It'll be gradual, 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 and then one day you'll notice that you are turned in the opposite direction.
Okay.
It is just a series of steps that you will take, a series of dimensions that you will move through, and you will see this change starting slowly at first, and then one day you'll say, boom, it's all different now. Has that happened with anyone else? Has anyone else noticed
Yes.
a shift in their life? Who was working on themselves?
Allison has.
Allison noticed a shift in her life?
Oh, big time. Lots of them. Yeah. It's been all over the place. And it's like my mind got taken over, and more instantly I hear the right answer, the better intention. I can't even put it into words.
The more empowering answer.
Yes, exactly.
So before, it would be a fearful, maybe attraction of fearful thoughts or of why is this happening? And now the more empowering answer is coming through.
Exactly. It's been really fun.
And so, how has that changed the way you perceive your reality?
Moving from one place to another, one not necessarily moment, but maybe half hour to the next, I'm able to move it freely, I guess.
So you're able to, within an hour, we'll say, not instantaneously, within an hour, to move it from a limited perspective back to the higher perspective.
Exactly.
So what that is doing is simply going from being out of alignment. In the past, you might have been out of alignment for days, to now it being a matter of minutes.
Right.
So
and I love it.
Yeah. So the change from feeling bad, because when you're out of alignment, you're notified through the negative emotion that you feel, whatever that negative emotion is. It's always fear of some sort, and you can define it as guilt or sadness or depression or anxiety or worry, regret, resentment, anything you want. And then you can say, well, that is not the reality of the situation. That is the reality I'm perceiving due to the fear that I think is happening here, the illusion caused by fear. And so now I can look for the higher perspective. Why is this happening for me? Why is this not happening to me but for me? In the past it used to be, why did it happen to me? Why am I stuck in this life rather than how did I create this life? What is the purpose of the creation of this life? How is it moving forward from here? That sort of thing. And then once you regain that higher perspective, you come back into alignment and you feel relief. You feel a bit better than you did before. Exactly.
I think the line that goes through my head over and over during the day is, what's in this for me? What's in this for me?
What's in this
and for you? It's fun to often figure out what is in it for me. So many manifestation events over the last couple of days have been just huge, and I feel like I've been able to figure out the answer and move through it, push through the fear so much easier than I did. Well, I never consciously did it three months ago, but now it's becoming a new habit, and it just feels great.
So just the realization that there is a higher perspective is all you need. Because if you realize that there is another way to look at this, that there is a part of you, a higher part of you, a non-physical part of you, that's always focused on getting you what you want, and the way that inner self gets you what you want is maintain this focus of perception of your reality, of your life, in a way that will lead you to where you want to go.
Yay!
So you have these desires. You do not have to identify them. You do not have to describe them. You do not have to talk about them. They're contained within your vibration. They are all there. You couldn't write 20 books accurately describing all the desires that are in your vibration. But the universe sees it. Now, as long as you are feeling good, you are moving toward those desires and they are unfolding for you. You are in a state of allowing. To feel good, you must be in alignment from a perspective sense, have the same perspective as your inner self, that alignment. Your way of looking at your life is the same way your inner self looks at your life, because your inner self is focused in a way that will get you what you want. If you can match that, you feel good. If you divert yourself from that because you think it's not happening or whatever reason, you are going to get a notice that you feel bad. If you can say, the reason I feel bad is because I'm going off my path, how is this happening for me? Well, then that's half the battle. Even if you don't figure it out right then, you know there is something there for you. If you have this belief that there's something there for you, then it's so much easier. It's like having training wheels on there.
Exactly.
Cool. So the idea
I'm getting a big girl bike really quick.
And you don't have to. You always have those training wheels. You always have a hand holding you up, right? But if you don't know the hand's there, you think you're all on yourself. This is all on your own. You think you're by yourself. You have this perception of this in this reality as an individual, and that was never meant to be. You were always meant to know that you had your inner self with you, that you had your guidance supporters, that you had access to infinite intelligence, that you could ask questions and receive answers. You were always meant to be able to have that connection. And without knowing that that's there, then you think, well, sometimes I feel good and sometimes I feel bad. And my conclusion is it's the conditions or the environment that makes me feel good or makes me feel bad. But nothing can make you feel anything unless you perceive it in a fearful way or perceive it in an empowering and loving way. And if you perceive danger, that you did something wrong or someone else did something wrong or you have judgment or fear about something, then you're just removing your perspective from the perspective that's going to get you what you want. You see, you have to move through these conditions to get what you want, because you have to be changed into a vibrational version of you that's ready for everything you want. And if you don't go through these things that seem bad so that they can bring out these fears, bring out these limiting beliefs that you have, then you can't resolve them. You can't, if you don't have these events that bring forth what you're feeling, what your true feelings are, what your true fears are, if you don't look at these fears and resolve them, then you don't really change into the vibrational person that's ready for what you say you want. So negative emotion is a wonderful thing. It's great to feel fear and figure out what that fear is and why you're feeling it. And then to say, hold on, I was perceiving reality this way, but that's not real. That's not true. There is no fear. I don't have to put up with somebody who is criticizing me or somebody who is complaining all the time. What is that fear about that I have? Oh, the fear is maybe I can't make it on my own. Maybe I am reliant on this person. Maybe without this person, well, I wouldn't have anything. So now I have to put up with their criticism, their complaining, their behavior. I have to accept it as it is, rather than say, hold on, maybe life could be different. What is it that I prefer? Well, I prefer not to be judgmental myself. So let's practice not being judgmental and see what happens. And then you just practice all these little things and see what happens. You do little experiments and see what happens. Feel good more often and see what happens.
I feel good more often. That's for sure.
So can you feel that you've gone through a shift in reality?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Well, you are all going through a shift in reality right now. And when you go through a shift in reality, you have some resistance as you move into a new, greater, more interesting dimension. And sometimes the resistance feels like sadness or physical ailment or some kind of blockage of thought, something like that. And it just lasts for a little while. Has anyone gone through anything like that? Gary has just gone through that himself. And it took him a week to recover from it. Has anyone else noticed this shift lately?
Yes, I actually thank you for saying that, because I have like teeth pain right now, and I'm trying to figure out if it's resistance, if it's fear, if it's a tooth infection. I don't know what it is, but I am going through something physical right now.
Okay, so anything physical is a sign of resistance. And if it is something like this, something in your mouth, something in your body, it doesn't really you could track it down and figure out what actually the specific resistance is, but it doesn't matter. It's just you shifting from one dimension to another dimension. We don't want to get too esoteric here, or too wild, too crazy out there. But you're moving, let's say, from one level to another level. Your perception of reality is changing rapidly, and you find yourself at this new level. And as you go forward into that new level, you bring a little resistance because it feels a little different. Your thoughts are a little bit different than they used to be in the last level, as we'll say. And so it just takes a little time to get used to it. And as you resist the resistance, the pain or whatever it is, then you start bringing in thoughts of worry and fear about that. What could it be? An infection. It could be my teeth are falling out. It could be the start of a brain tumor or something.
I'm so glad I'm talking to you, because here's what I'm like, okay, I just want to wait. I just want to see what happens, because the dentist is like, oh yeah, you should get a root canal. And I'm like, gosh, is that really my path? And then I'm like, oh my gosh, am I resisting a root canal? Like, it's so funny how you go through the loop in your little mind.
Sure. The resistance causes you to feel fear, and the fear attracts thoughts that resonate with that fear. And so then you think,
right.
What happens if this happens? What happens if this happens? Maybe it's that. Maybe it's this. You go on the internet. Maybe it's that. These people had this. Means that I have the same thing. Now, you could literally do that every single day, and you could find yourself with a myriad of made-up problems in your head, right? And then you could rush out to the doctor, and the doctor's there. Okay, this person came with me with a problem. I have to solve the problem. I'm a problem solver. Therefore,
right.
We'll run a battery of tests, and we'll say something will come back. And then you'll come back positive on one of those tests. And I'll mean, okay, well, now you have this or that or that. But if you had just waited a week, that thing would have disappeared. Right?
So
and if it doesn't disappear,
me-
well, then you have attracted something, and then you can resolve that. But
okay, so just give it some time.
Give it a little time. Feel good.
Thank you.
See what happens. You are getting.
Okay.
You are getting. We'll just say it. You're getting 100 different diseases every day, and they're coming and going like this. Boom, boom, boom,
right.
boom, boom. They're all within you at all the time, right? Every possibility is within you at all the time. And depending on how you feel and what the resistance is, it's going to manifest. And these things manifest not because that the tumor is wrong. The tumor is simply a message. Not because the toothache is wrong. The toothache is a message of resistance.
Yeah.
Right? And as you ease your resistance, well, the toothache's not needed anymore. And you go through this thing. But when people rush to the doctor and the doctor says something, well, now they have a belief about it, and now they attract it through that belief. Okay? And so then they have to resolve that whole thing by going through whatever other belief system is necessary to remove that belief or exchange that belief for another belief. Exchange the limiting belief of disease with a more empowering belief of cure. Well, you can't get the cure belief on your own. You have to go somewhere else and get it. You could get it on your own, but that's not likely. So you go somewhere to get the cure belief, and then that cure belief allows you to remove the limiting belief of whatever physical issue it was, and then you go through steps of recovery, and you get better and better and better. Well, you're just going through dimensions or levels of feeling better and beliefs.
So, can I ask a question about something related to this? So I've recently been in this sort of patient-doctor setting with this holistic psychiatrist.
Well, who the hell's this talking?
Oh, this is Kyla.
Oh, hi, Kyla. How are you?
Hello. Yes, thank you.
We are being very sarcastic because we know your voice.
Yeah. Okay, so physically, overall, I've noticed the shift in reality that you're talking about, and it's manifested other ways for me. But
when did you notice the shift?
Oh, it's been ongoing, but there's something big happening where I feel like I'm in a different dimension every day over the past couple weeks, especially.
Right. So the shift is happening now for a lot of people.
Right. So I haven't, physically, I've been feeling good, and in my body, probably the best I've ever felt, and I have energy. And so I've been in this relationship now with this psychiatrist as a result of my divorce agreement, and I found a holistic one. And so it's been really interesting exploring the power dynamics. And she had asked me to get blood work done and a urine analysis to see what vitamins and deficiencies might be present. So I did this. I had some resistance to it.
Now, hold on. Do you look at that request as, here's the universe, bring me something that is beneficial for me? Or here is something that I don't want to know because it could be bad, and it's just her way of thinking that I should be different than I am?
To me, it felt like she was looking for problems.
Right.
Like I feel good, and she was looking for problems. And
however, what's the other empowering way to look at that?
That the universe is showing
that
me.
Maybe you are deficient in something, and maybe this is the way you figure that out. And the universe is bringing you everything you need, right?
But okay, so I ended up with some supplements, and I have some resistance to taking them.
Okay, so imagine that. Imagine the universe says, we have to get Kyla these supplements. If she's going to be the version of her that's ready for what she wants to have, she's going to need these supplements. Maybe not right now. Maybe she may feel great now, but maybe these supplements will do something to boost her, whatever it is, in the future. The only way we can get it, what's the path of least resistance? Oh, we'll inspire this holistic psychiatrist to do that. Even before that, we'll inspire her ex-husband to demand that she sees a psychiatrist so that we can inspire the psychiatrist to give her these supplements.
And then guess what else the universe did? The universe knew that I would think that it was bullshit if this test came back and said that any of my things were off. And so there's this one Pyrrol's level. I don't know what it does. You're an undermethylator, and she uses all these words. But so the normal range, I think, is 7 to 12 is the high end.
Okay,
elevated is 15
people?
to 20.
Who are the normal people?
Well, according to these things, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I thought it was all bullshit, but so she tells me that my level, 15 to 20 is concern. 50 is ridiculous, and mine was 159 to I don't know. So I see that was what my question was about, because she used the word cancer, and the levels that high would usually indicate there's inflammation in the body, which is usually associated with cancer. And I heard that word, and I didn't go to the place that most people go to. I was just well, that's interesting. How curious. You know what? I don't. And so she was super curious about it all. So I was going to ask why that happened, what that meant, and it's showing me everything that you just said, that happened to just get my attention, to encourage me to take the supplements, which I have, and maybe I'll take them today.
Excellent. Okay.
So, I guess I don't understand why do I need supplements? If it's all in my mind, I don't have any limiting beliefs, I feel about, or maybe I do have limiting beliefs about vitamins, and why do I need supplements?
You have a lot of limiting beliefs. Okay. And you have attracted a lifestyle that you want to maintain. And to maintain that lifestyle, there's going to be certain requirements that your body is going to demand. And since you are not eating or whatever, doing enough to get these supplements in a natural way, this is the next best way for you to get them. The body wants them, right?
Okay.
It's like saying, why do I have to go to the doctor? The doctor says I'm losing all this weight because I'm not eating a thing. And I haven't eaten a thing for 16 weeks, and I've lost 10 pounds in 16 weeks without eating one thing. And the body's like, we want just a little bit of something. You don't have to eat all day long, just a little bit of something. Would you please eat a carrot? And the doctor says, you need to eat a carrot. And then I go, oh, okay, well, I'll eat a carrot. Do you see how that works?
I like carrot. Yes, that makes sense.
Right. So it's not saying that you have to change anything that you're not going to change. It's saying that accept what comes to you, because what comes to you is always for you.
Right.
Have you ever heard us say that before?
Once or twice.
Is this a new thing?
No.
But Joshua, I have a question about that. This is Isabel.
Hi, Isabel. Sound like you have a scratchy throat today.
Thanks.
But how do we know that? What if the message was for her to listen to her, her inner gut saying that it's bullshit and that she's self-contained and that, how do you know what the message is?
So let's say that everything lines up in the conditions, and the conditions arrive to this one thing, and the one thing is these supplements are for the benefit of you. That's what the conditions of coming to her, right? Now, she can say, okay, everything unfolded imperfectly so that these supplements would be in my reality.
I don't know how. I can't help you until I'm done.
Or I attracted the supplements, and that therefore they're for me.
But what if it's for her to not, to trust her gut and not to trust someone else telling her what's going on with her body?
Well, that would be a different message, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think the fact that my thought was that it's bullshit, that's an indicator of fear being present, not like that's not coming from like the empowering place.
Right.
So
I mean,
okay, so you don't have that feeling. So you're okay with the supplements, and you don't have that.
Yeah, I was okay. I was just having this conversation with somebody else, and that like I have been in situations where the message or the ultimate thing that the universe wanted me to see was that I can trust my own judgment, trust myself to make choices for myself. And so that, like they said, the message would be different. Like, and so that's presented itself in different ways where I was maybe stating my, feelings about something and that was challenged, or like I was told that another way was a better way to feel. And because I was coming from a positive place in the beginning, it was easy for me to like stay that course or say, this is how I feel. It's okay that you feel how you feel. And so if I had really gone in there feeling like I have all the vitamins and nutrients that I need, like, or whatever, like my body is functioning at its peak, if I believed that truly, and then somebody told me to take supplements, that would be a different situation where I could say, I believe, and so I don't know. I guess I see
it would be a completely different outcome. It would be a completely different scenario from the very beginning. It's just, in this scenario, it's looking at what comes to you as for you, even though you might think that it's not for you. Now, from everyone else's perspective outside of Kyla, if the universe presented you with these supplements to take, then you would say to yourself, these are for me. It is obvious they're for me. The universe presented them for me. But when it's happening to you, you can look at it two ways. You can look at it as if it's wrong, and somehow the universe screwed up, made a big mistake, not for me, or that everything comes to me is for me. Right. So this is what happens all the time. You are presented with an opportunity. You take a look at that opportunity and say, no, that's wrong. Can't be right. It came in my reality. The universe must have screwed up this one time. Or you can say, no, this opportunity is for me. Let's get into it. But what happens is you look at, naturally, the pros and cons, the upside, the downside, what you think can go wrong, what you think could go right, and you make this judgment. Okay? And on one hand, you have the pros, and that's all the possible good stuff. And the other hand, you have all the fears. And so if the fears outnumber the pros, then you don't go with the choice that's presented to you. But if you eliminated the fears and realize that all those fears are rational, and you check off and say, okay, this fear, irrational. This fear, irrational. This fear, irrational. This fear, rational, but unlikely, therefore irrational. And you take that off, and then you say, what's left? Well, this possibility, this possibility, this possibility, this possibility, this possibility, this possibility. And you say, well, that's an easy decision. It came into my reality. It's for me.
Something that just occurred to me, Mark, to answer your question, how to know what the actual message is. What happened for me is, in this instance, the information came through Joshua in terms of the truth of the situation. And so as I was listening to them, before I'd even gotten my question out, they were answering it, bringing the higher perspective. And I got still and suspended my thought and took it in. And then that felt true to me, and so I wasn't attached to the stance that supplements are bullshit, because I heard the truth, the higher perspective, and it clicked, like Allison was just talking about, and it made sense to me instantly. And so I was able to see how on that issue I was out of alignment, and then I snapped back in it, kind of.
So that validated the message. When you felt it true and you got quiet and you felt it true, then
exactly. So that's
I get it.
In that moment of stillness, like I bring those own thoughts to myself sometimes. This was an issue that I maybe had more attachment to, so it was easier to hear the message from Joshua, and maybe other people have even said similar things in me talking about it, but it was easiest for me to hear in that moment from Joshua, like just getting still and like checking in and seeing what feels right.
Excellent.
Yeah, because because I have resistance to that too, and it's like from what you said, Joshua, that someone can look inside of you and there's so many diseases that can be going on, but they can disappear. And so someone looking inside of you and then scaring you.
So let's take another look at this. Let's imagine that first you have a symptom. And so you say, I want to resolve the symptom. And let's say that symptom is depression or anxiety, right? So you go to the doctor and you tell the doctor, I have this. And before you even get to the doctor, you probably talk to your friends. And you tell your friends, I have this. And so everyone wants to solve your problem because they want to change the conditions, because as soon as you feel better, they'll feel better. So they don't care really about you, they care about themselves. And by you not feeling good, they don't feel good, so they want you to feel better. So they're going to come up with all these suggestions for you to feel better, all this advice, all these things to do, okay, just so they can feel better. But because they don't feel good, because you don't feel good, all they're looking at is the lower emotional vibration of you. And all they can attract is lower emotional thoughts and ideas. Now, you take that to a doctor. The doctor says, I am an expert in fixing your one problem. I have fixed problems like yours over and over and over again. Now, the doctor himself or herself might be conflicted. They might be, I have a possible solution, but it only works 1 out of 10 times. I'm going to give the solution, but I don't even know if it really works. And so they prescribe some solution because they have nothing else to do. And they can't say to you, listen, just go back home and you'll be okay in a week. They can't say that. You know why? Because they are fearful of what the repercussions may happen if you don't get better. Plus, they are trained that you cannot get better on your own, that you could only get better through them. Right? Yeah. So you have this conflicting belief that you sort of believe in doctors, you sort of believe that you have a body that can't maintain itself, you sort of believe that you have resistance that's going to flare up and cause this major problem and be the demise of you. And then you have these doctors who sort of believe that what they do works, but sort of conflicted about that and have no idea that the body can create its own reality and that you create your own reality, and there's all this interplay between all of you. And so you're all looking at this from a lower perspective. And sometimes that works. Sometimes if you get derailed by some physical ailment, you have this strong desire for health and well-being, and then that desire pulls you towards whatever solutions there are that actually help your specific unique body. But if you are in a state where you believe that something's wrong with you, and so you're constantly finding ways to fix what's wrong with you, well, then you're on this never-ending journey because there's nothing ever wrong with you. If you happen to have a brain tumor, there's nothing wrong with you. There's just a message that you have some perspective on your life that isn't empowering, and it's limiting you. And you have this desire, and you're resisting moving towards that desire. And the tumor is and we're using the word tumor where we could say splinter or slight cut or bellyache or toothache. That is a little message saying that you are not resolving the fear that you need to resolve so that you can move towards the desire that you've asked for. So the universe is pulling you towards what you want. And you are resisting it, kicking and screaming, saying that it's wrong. Like, this supplement is not for me. This wonderful conversation I have with a holistic psychiatrist is not for me. This is all not for me. It's not for me. Where you could say, oh, it's how exciting. I get to do this. I get to do this. Oh, these things just show up in my reality. How fantastic. Let me suck those down. You could do all these things, right? It's just your perspective. Yeah. So you're either resistant or you're open to everything, or you're somewhere in between. And none of it is wrong. There's no right way to do this. There's just like an easier way, and that's all we're telling you or showing you or illustrating here. And there is a resistant way, and that tends to be more difficult. There's a controlling way, and that tends to be much harder to maintain control, and it tends not to work with the laws of the universe, and it tends to be ineffective, and it doesn't help you do anything, and you can look for the conditions to prove you're good, or you can believe you're good and let the conditions be what they are, knowing that you're receiving everything you want, and it's always, always, always coming to you if you would just stop fighting it. So
I think I see. Okay, so yeah, go ahead.
So Mark, we see that you want to talk about what is this about intuition. Shouldn't I know inherently what's good for me? And shouldn't I realize when an idea is not good for me? And shouldn't I be able to avoid situations that are not good for me? Have you been thinking that?
Well, let me think. Well, I'm not sure. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's in my, the idea of being self-empowered and self-contained is a strong intention within me. Yeah. But I've done things where I've taken the path of least resistance and gone to a doctor and gotten help. But I do have resistance to being analyzed and being told what's wrong with you. And yeah, I definitely have resistance.
Yes, you should have resistance to that.
Mm-hmm.
But who is doing that? How would that even show up in your reality?
Yeah, I think I see what you're saying. So tell me if I'm on track here. Yeah.
So imagine that
yeah.
you are in a psychiatrist's office, not a doctor's office, and the psychiatrist says, maybe we should do blood tests. Not a doctor, and you didn't go in there with any problem. And then you say, oh, how's this showing up for me? Well, let's see where this goes. And they said, oh, it looks like you're low in this one level, or you're high in this one category, or there's some supplement that needs. Not a drug, but actually a nutritional supplement. Mm-hmm. And you can say, nope, everything's perfect with me. I'm perfectly fine. You must be wrong. Or, hey, it's a supplement. It's a supplement. It worked out perfectly. Yeah. Or the other side effect is, or other idea is, that you notice something in you that's wrong. And then you go out there seeking to find a fix for this thing that's wrong. Like imagine
a whole different momentum on each side.
Imagine you feel anxious. Like why am I so anxious, right? And so this anxiety is this what? If you're feeling anxiety, you're perpetually focused in a way that is causing you to feel fear all the time.
Right.
Right? And so you say, instead of realizing what this fear is and processing it, I'm going to continue ignoring it like I've been doing my entire life. And instead of facing my fears and facing what this issue might possibly be within me, it's not wrong. It's just that it's not preferred. And what I want to do is I want to feel good. But instead of doing the work to feel good, instead of thinking that the anxiety is a side effect of my perspective, I'm going to go now get a pill for that. And I'm going to walk into their doctor's office and I'm going to demand this pill that I saw on TV that says it cures this one thing. And then I'm just suppressing that true problem because I have these super intense desires for more, but yet I have these super intense fears and I'm resisting being brought forth to more. So I'm going through these manifestation events all the time, and these manifestation events are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'm feeling more anxiety, and I'm closing myself in, and I'm too worried about what's going to happen in the future because I keep going through these manifestation events that to me seem wrong because no one's explained how this works. And so I'm going to set a mask and cover up and mask and cover up. And I'm going to go to someone who will help me mask and cover it up. And the universe says, sure, we're going to introduce you to the perfect person to mask and cover it up and keep going up because you're going to attract what you're putting out there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's an interesting thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So if it comes for you, it's for you. I'm sorry. If it comes to you, it's for you. If it's in your reality, it's for you. If it presents itself to you, it's for you. And you can embrace it.
Yeah. But we can agree with if it comes to you, it's for you. But the message can be interpreted differently.
Exactly.
And I think what it seems like you're saying too is that the way you go into the situation, if you're going into it at a lower perspective, then you can see then you're attracting things at that same level. But if you go into it trying to work on your resistance and trying to work on your fears, then you could have more
positive outcomes.
And be certain that the message might be more in alignment with what's happening because of the way you went into it and that you're feeling currently.
Exactly.
And
Isabel, you hit that right on the head.
Doesn't that go back to what you were saying too in the beginning, though, Joshua, about seeing yourself as perfect, like judging everything as perfect? And so, Mark, if this thing that you are judging as imperfect is other people telling you what's wrong with you, like maybe that's just a reflection, a mirror of things that you think might be wrong with you, you know? And once you accept yourself as perfect, then you encounter that less, or you perceive it differently when it happens, the criticism or whatever it is.
So imagine Isabel with her painful teeth, realizing that she's perfect as she is, that there's nothing that needs to change, that this is a sign of resistance, that it's a notification that she's moved to a different level, that she's holding some resistance within her that is manifesting as these teeth. And now she says, well, let's release the resistance. Let's see if we can focus more on what's going well, what we love about our life, these sort of things. Mm-hmm. Maybe we can meditate. Maybe we can relax about it. Maybe we can just let it be what it is and see if it fades. And if it's something more, then we'll take care of that when it's time. And then something will show up in the reality that will present the next step. Mm-hmm. And then you can take that step.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of getting to a big fear, what's wrong with me, what's going on, something's...
So instead of jumping to conclusions, allowing the fearful thoughts to come in, you deal with the fearful thoughts, you say, this is simply an indication of resistance. I'm going to spend a little time now and relax, meditate, enjoy my life, not give it another thought. We'll see what happens in a couple days. And then you'll see it fading or you'll see it intensifying.
Yeah, what's been helping me is I've been thinking about the word practice a lot, like a practice. Like when I, practice this Joshua stuff, practice feeling good, practice reaching for better thoughts, practice meditating. And if I take that approach of it's a practice instead of I'm doing it to get some kind of an outcome.
Exactly.
So I'm meditating not to necessarily go into bliss or to because you don't always feel bliss or you don't always feel great when you're meditating. But if you just think of it as I'm practicing, I'm doing it 15 minutes today and then tomorrow and tomorrow.
Yes.
It relieves some of the attachment to whatever we're doing.
Yes. Yes. You don't want to identify yourself by how well you meditate. You don't want to attach yourself to an outcome of meditation. You don't want to say, I'm going to listen to the abundance meditation so that I can get rich.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
You want to say, I'm going to listen to the abundance meditation so I can feel good. And I'm going to practice feeling good. I'm going to practice allowing. I'm going to practice suspending thought. I'm not going to compare myself as I did yesterday or as I do tomorrow. I'm not going to attach any meaning to how well I do this. It is just a practice. I'm going to be curious and see how I did today, see how I feel today, but it doesn't mean anything. And we also like this state of curiosity, this state of possible experimentation. I'm going to experiment feeling good today, and then I'm going to see how if what I did to feel good makes me feel good. I'm going to experiment with trying to focus on the positive aspects of this one thing and see what happens. I'm going to experiment having a connection to my inner self and just see if I notice the numbers on the clock aligning, or notice that people smile at me, or notice that I get the first place in the parking lot, or notice that I get a check in the mail for something I didn't think about. Those sort of things.
Yeah, because it becomes fun. Curiosity,
just because it's fun, right? The only thing that's going on here is you're learning to have fun and to feel good. And if you can have fun and have this enthusiasm for life that's more than you had yesterday, then you're moving to the next level, into the next dimension, and things are just unfolding. And you don't know what you really want. You have no idea what you really want. So why not just live in the moment, Practice feeling good, and then let it unfold. And then notice how you are quicker to understand how something is happening for you rather than to perceive something as you used to that it's not working out because I have these goals and I didn't hit my quota this month. Therefore, this month sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Astrid, are you moving through dimensions?
Yeah, I seem to be.
What's happening?
The last 3 weeks have been really difficult. I sort of went into, I had issues digesting everything, and I had a lot of fear coming up, and in the beginning it was just not feeling good, and then I felt neutral, and then the last few days I felt empty, like the beginning of a depression, really just empty.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So you are moving through massive shift in dimensions and consciousness and coming to a new level that happens so quickly that you can't help but have resistance.
Yeah.
That coming to understand, imagine waking up one day and discovering your superpowers that you've had all along. So now you aren't this 1 in a billion, 1 in 7 billion. You aren't this random person out there. You aren't this person who was less than others. You are now one of a kind. The only one of your type in the world. In history of the world. In the history of the world that's ever been, and the history of the world that's ever will be. There's no one, and you can see that for the first time. And since you see that, everything comes out. So did you see it first and the abilities happen? Or did you get the abilities and then see it?
Yeah, the ability came first, I think.
It seems like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I was working a lot on the worthiness issue, and I guess I finally, because I had a few weeks of feeling so insanely good before the abilities came.
So it clicked.
Yeah.
So when that clicked, and you woke up the next morning with the abilities, and you realized that here you are, completely unique to all of history, with these amazing leading edge abilities, you have a completely new way of looking at yourself. And that feels intense. Because it's not comfortable. The way you used to feel about yourself no longer feels comfortable. You can't really feel about yourself that way anymore. You have to move into your power. You can't be shy anymore. You're not even allowed to be shy anymore. You can't hide out anymore. You are exposed. So you go from this person who was sheltered and worried about things and worried about what you said, and now saying things that are so leading edge and so empowering and have the ability to radically change people's lives. And people are looking up to you and you feel that for the first time ever. That is a drastic, radical change in your approach to life, or in your life in general.
Yeah.
So what does it feel like?
It felt really, really scary. And then yesterday, I think I had one of my daily chats with Wendy and something clicked. It's like I've heard it from you guys. I've heard it from other entities. I've heard it from, I don't know. I heard it from Wendy so many times, but it's like maybe the 95th time it finally clicked. And I had like a big, good cry. And then I got the message again from other sources. I had another cry, and I did what I thought was writing down the normal channeling, and it turned out to be a channeling from a new being that I hadn't channeled before, and that was a new
and you
good
said
cry
to yourself,
right there.
This isn't real because I can't channel this entity.
Yes.
And so that limiting belief was just shot to hell, wasn't it?
Yeah, because later that night I said to whoever's listening, if this is for real, this new entity that I channeled, please let this person that I trust tell me that it is. And so the next day they confirmed it. So now I'm it seems to me like every time I have a big meltdown, I get like more powers. I don't know. Or I get to see, I reveal more of my power.
You do, true. But don't use the meltdowns as a crutch, because you certainly don't go into that habit.
So how can I get there without the meltdown? What do I do to open up? What is the thing? What in this process made me open up for this new thing?
Well, you had to believe it. So somehow you had to rise to that vibration of this ability, of Laurel. You had already risen to the vibration of Joshua. So you were in that vicinity anyway. And so it was just a click in your awareness, because this is something you intended your entire life, prior to your life. This was waiting for you to get there, to get there, to get there, to get there, to get there. You got to Joshua. We helped you along a little bit. You got a little higher vibration, and then it clicked. Then it was ready for you. You got the perfect time in your life. Everything unfolded perfectly. You got these new beliefs, these new ways of looking at reality, and then it clicked. And now, because that clicked, and this has happened, you are fast-forwarded 100 miles an hour into you as the channeler of not just Laurel, but any entity that wants to speak through you, that you allow to speak through you, based on your specific interests and who you believe yourself to be.
So because I don't feel, when I channel, I don't feel any different inside. There are no emotions. It doesn't, and when I look at, and when I hear from other people, they feel love, or they feel overwhelmed, or I don't feel anything. How come I don't feel anything?
You don't have to feel anything. Gary doesn't feel love when he sits down and types it. He feels interest. Do you feel interest when you're doing it?
Yes, but I thought I would feel like some of the energy
so
from
you had
these,
an expectation for
beings.
something,
Yes,
and that expectation didn't come through. Therefore, the whole belief is shot to hell. It could be just that. The interest is the joy. We had said all along that interest is joy, that passion is joy, that fun is joy, that joy is joy, that love's joy, that all these things are joy. When you enjoy reading a good book, you're not consumed with this feeling of love, you're just enjoying reading it. When you're enjoying channeling or typing out the answers, typing out the messages from infinite intelligence, from Laurel, it is enjoyment. It's fun. It's interesting. It's cool to see what comes out. That's all it is.
But how come I don't feel like their energy or an energy exchange? How come I don't feel any of that?
You don't feel, well, we will say that it could be very subtle. It's very subtle to Gary. He has this normal way of seeing things. He doesn't see it as this change of who he is. It's this coming into the flow of who he is. It's bringing forth more of who he is into this experience. It's allowing him to be a little bit bigger than he normally allows himself to be. But it's not this flow that's never there. It's a flow that's always there, but sometimes it's there more than ever. When you are excited and happy and thrilled, that is the same energy that's within you, just it's more contained when you are going through a meltdown. Okay, so the meltdown is that energy, but you're viewing it as it's not good energy. And the exhilaration of some fun moment, you're saying, well, that's true energy. And so you say, well, it should be like this. Well, it could just be this content, interested, calm, relaxed flow that you feel going through you. And it doesn't have to be different. This is why people have difficulty realizing that the thoughts they're receiving are from infinite intelligence, or from their inner self, or from their guides and supporters. When you receive an inspired thought, sometimes it's very subtle. And you think, no, if this was really inspiration, It should feel like a bolt of lightning coming through. It should feel super intense. I should notice when it happens. But sometimes that happens. Sometimes you feel excitement. Sometimes you get an idea and go, wow, that's a great idea. But a lot of times it's just subtle. I think I should look at the clock right now. Oh, it's 111 or 333. How interesting. That's inspiration at its finest. You are not in a resistant state, so you get the thought to look at the clock. The clock just happens to be randomly, luckily, 444.
Well, it's also difficult to trust the words that are coming, to trust that it's not just my imagination saying these words to soothe me, because if I don't feel any different, how can I know that it's not just my fantasy or imagination saying this to myself?
That's a great question.
When you read what you've written, what do you think when you read it? What's the feeling you get?
I usually don't feel anything.
Do you feel that I'm smart? It is really interesting words, that it makes so much sense, that it's absolutely fascinating? Or do you think, they're just a bunch of words on a page, don't mean anything?
I think my ego is big enough to think that I could have written it myself.
We think not. We think it's more likely that you would think that this is not me, because how could I write this? That this is phenomenal information out here. And then you see all the feedback from all the people who read what you've brought forth, and they all agree, Gary as well, us as well. They all agree this is infinite intelligence coming through you as a unique form of transmission, and that it is leading edge stuff. You and Laurel have brought together information that has never been accessed before, has never been brought forth in the way you've brought it forth, in the language you've used. It is truly unique, one of a kind, remarkable information.
And now I have a big fear that my normal friends will find out, because
Gary had that fear too.
Yeah.
And Gary had to tell his parents, and Gary had to tell his closest friend, and Gary had to tell his brother and sister-in-law, and Gary had to tell other friends. And then Gary said, okay, what happened when I told these people? Well, they were all fascinated by it. They were all interested in it. They didn't all get it, but then no one criticized him. No one thought he was weird. No one thought anything different about him, because they couldn't. He attracted them in his reality. They are part of his reality. Now, he doesn't tell everyone. He doesn't tell everyone he meets. He has a lot of different types of friends, poker friends and business friends. He understands that that's a different level, and it doesn't have to be brought forth. But it doesn't matter. Even if they found out, they would be amazed. They'd be interesting. 4 books? That's amazing. What are they about? Law of attraction? I don't know about that. That's interesting. Tell me more about that. Okay, well, I don't get that, but you have fun doing that. I think it's really cool that you did that. That's what happens. And who cares if they think you're weird? What's wrong with being weird? We think you're one of the weirdest people we've ever met.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all weird in this group.
Point out which person in this group is normal, and we will start using them as our baseline.
I think Kate is pretty normal.
You need to read some more of her questions then. There is no normal. You're all abnormal. You're all unique. Abnormal is a perfectly suitable label for everyone on Earth, because there is no normal. What you like is good for you. What everyone else likes is good for them. There is no normal. Now, there might be judgment. Okay? Who's to say what is good and what is bad? That's up to the individual. But if you are learning, as you all are, to say that everything is good and nothing is bad, and I am perfect as I am, and I can't get any better, I can be more expanded, but I'm not any better than I am, and I'm certainly not normal. If I was normal, well, I'd be the first one ever. There is no normal. Yep. So don't worry about that. Explore. You have all the time in the world. The way you're presenting it is perfect. You'll be inspired to something more when you're ready for something more. Have fun with it. Let it develop. It doesn't have to be anything different than it is right now. It'll move. It'll take shape. It'll get bigger. You don't have to think anything about the future. Take it day by day, minute by minute, realizing you're rapidly moving and that you'll catch your balance. And when you catch your balance, ideas will occur to you, and you'll be inspired to do that. The fact that you are one of the few handful of people in the world to take on the inspiration of actually writing down your thoughts and putting them out there to others, that is an amazing thing. There's 7 billion people on this planet. How many are doing what you're doing?
5 million?
How many are you aware of who are doing what you're doing?
I don't know, 30 maybe?
30
40?
maybe, out of 7 billion. Yep. Yep. Maybe there's 100 in the world that are at your level right now. Putting it out there, getting feedback, receiving it, understanding it, doing it so effortlessly. Is it effortless or is it a struggle to get the words out?
No, it's easy.
It just comes out. It's just a flow. That's how everything is supposed to come out. When you're feeling good, receiving inspiration, you sit down, write. You don't edit what you're writing. Do you edit every word that you write? Do you make it better? Do you change the words? Or you just let it come out and give it out?
Yeah, I just do the spell check.
Just the spell check. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. That's all it is. And it's amazing. So here you are at this new dimension. You find yourself at this new place. Who's the first person you're going to tell?
What do you mean?
Who are you inspired to tell, to share this with?
To out myself?
Yes.
Well, I've told 2 of my friends, and I've added 1 normal friend to the Facebook group, so I'm kind of, yeah.
You have
I'm
a normal friend?
Normal friend.
I have almost only normal friends.
They aren't normal. They're pretending to be. But if they're your friend, they can't be that normal.
Yeah, they're pretty great.
When are you going to tell your mother?
I already told her. She's fine. She was like, oh, I knew it. I knew you would do this.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And she thought this was a sex cult.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good. So you see how easy you tell your friends, you tell your mother. Your mother was the one who thought this was a sex cult, who had a little fear in the beginning, and here she is fine with it. How did that happen, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think you shifted a reality into a new reality?
Yeah, I think so.
You shifted a dimension or 2?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or 10.
So when you shift that dimension, the people shift right along with you. You don't have to worry about anything. Just move into that dimension, move into that next level. Everyone comes along with you. And if they have some fears, well, that's just their mirroring of your own fear. And you can move through that. And you move through that perfectly with your mother.
Yeah.
Exciting. How about your father?
Oh, that's a different story.
Well, maybe he'll be ready in a new dimension.
I hope not.
Excellent. Good. Who haven't we talked to? Kate!
Hi,
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Excellent. Good. How is Gay Paris?
Gay Paris is wonderful. I've just had my mum here. I'm looking at minimalism, decluttering. All of that's interesting. Getting rid of stuff, which is creating a higher level of security for me.
Certainly.
And I'm also, that's definitely enjoying discovering that.
Consciously clearing out the stress.
Yes.
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 Because if you are attached to certain things and worried about certain things, certain aspects of your life, and you let those things go. You're not attached to them anymore. You can clear them out. Then you just release a bunch of stress into the universe. Let the universe handle that, and now you can focus on whatever you want more clearly.
And I guess that's where I am right now. It's okay, what will I be focusing on once I've uncluttered so much that I'll need to focus on something? So there's things like books, obviously, you know, I can read. And the meditation, I was mentioning this to Astrid, and I did want to bring it up. I'm meditating. And so for 3 weeks, my head was moving around in circles and back and forth. And I'd mentioned this to Gary. And then yesterday evening, it started to be my jaw. The head slowed down, but it was the jaw going. And yeah, but you know, it's just like it's just making these sounds. And then today I did it, and I started singing to myself. So I'm just relaxing and saying, okay, whatever. Whatever.
So we have a new channel in the group.
Yeah. Well, we're not sure. Yeah. For the moment, she's going.
How could you be not sure?
Singing channel.
Because doesn't really mean much.
Well, there's something knocking on that door.
Yes.
And you're not letting it in.
Yeah. I'm trying to relax. I'm trying to say this is fun. It is fun.
Right.
It's fun, and I'm trying to relax and just see where it goes.
Yes, and you having fun, letting it move
around,
fun. Noticing that it's happening, noticing that it hasn't happened before, noticing that there's an entity there that is trying to come through you and trying to communicate with you. And that
who sings?
Who sings because you sing, certainly. And all you have to do is strike up a conversation. See where it goes?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been asking questions, but I haven't really been either open to
Yes,
or...
the answers are coming back. The instant that you ask the question, a thought will come to you, and it'll feel like your own thought, and that thought is the answer.
Yeah. And that's what I was thinking about when Astrid was asking the question, you know, how do I know it's not me? It's that one of the big things I've learned, thanks to you, is that the thoughts are attracted. They're not mine. So,
right. So how do you know the words you just said are your words? Or did you attract them?
I attracted them.
Well, if you're in a flow state...
Inspired. If I'm feeling good, upbeat, inspired.
Exactly. If you're in that above-the-line emotional state of being, whether that's joy, love, or contentment, or just ease, and the words come through you, you'll notice when you are in a boisterous conversation with anyone, the words just flow through. You're unstoppable. You're in that flow. And those flows are the stream of consciousness coming through you and out your mouth, saying the perfect words at the perfect time, having fun, and building this energy between you and the people you are conversing with. That's the flow state. The same thing happens when you're meditating. You get into that flow state, and then thoughts come to you, or feelings come to you. In this case, somebody is knocking on the door. Hello, Kate, come on, let us in, let us in, let us in. We want to come in there. We want to be with you. And you're saying...
And I'm saying, come in, come in, come in, but obviously there must be a block.
Just say, come in, come in, come in. Then say hello. What happens when you say hello?
It keeps going.
And
the turning of the head and the moving of the jaw.
If you were to say hello, what would the first thought that came to you?
Hello.
Exactly. Hello. Now, is that you? Well, you could think it's you. You could think it's you.
No,
but if you think it's you, then you shut off the communication. If you think it's some other communication, then you practice it and build it and allow it and allow it and allow it. And maybe it is and maybe it isn't, and maybe it goes somewhere, maybe it doesn't, but isn't it fun to play with?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I think that's really the stance I'm taking. It doesn't matter.
So, Astrid, are you a good person because you can channel?
No, I'm a good person because I'm me.
You're a good person because you're a good person. You're a good person because you're good. You can't be anything else. The channeling part defines you not at all. It's fun to have a superpower. It's fun to play around with it. Doesn't mean you're better than anyone else who doesn't have a superpower, because everyone has their own superpower. Doesn't mean you're better than anyone who hasn't found their superpower yet, because everyone's on a journey to find their superpower. It just means that you have raised the vibrational level of a place that you've always intended to be. And that at this level, you're playing with it. And you get to bounce around the ball, the imaginary ball in your hands, and that's all that there is to it. And you get to share it with others, and you'll get feedback. And then you can say, well, I'm attached to that feedback, so that when you get good feedback, it means you're good, and when you get bad feedback, it means you're bad. Or you can just say, I'm putting it out there, and I'm inspired to do it in that. And as Kyla had once said, who cares what comes back to me if I'm inspired? Because what comes back to me doesn't mean a thing about me, right? And so you can use this inspiration to write a book, post online, start a blog, be a YouTube star, do whatever you're inspired to do. But no matter what you do, it's not going to make you better than you are now. It'll just be a different version of you playing with a different version of it. You will change the world. We should mention that part of it.
No pressure.
Only because it's fun, right? The world doesn't need changing. People don't need salvation, but it is fun, isn't it? Yeah. So nothing is serious. Everything's fun. Nothing means anything about you because you're perfect as you are. You're good. You can't be better. You can be different, but you can never be better. You can't be worse either. We were talking with somebody about when they were born as a baby. Can they see that as the baby on the first day of life, the baby was perfect? As you were when you were a baby, as all of you were when you were a baby, you were perfect. Now, when you were the next day older, did you become more or less perfect, more or less good than you were before? It's not rhetorical. We're looking for an answer.
Trick question.
You were not worse, right? When you were 1 year old, were you more perfect or less perfect or better or worse than you were the day you were born? No, you're bigger, you're expanded, maybe you're crawling around. Are you more or less perfect when you're 5 years old or 10 years old or 15 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 60 or 80 or 100 or 120 or dead? Right? You're perfect the whole time. Even when you're dead, you're perfect. Right? So there is no way to get better. You could only get to be the 1 year old and the 3 year old. And the 3 year old has a different experience of life than the 1 year old. And the 5 year old has a different experience of life. Now, the 5 year old can get in trouble where the baby can't really get in trouble. But that trouble is just a judgment on someone else's part of it, right? Whether it's the 5 year old's judgment or the parent's judgment or the teacher's judgment or somebody else's judgment, right? Of what's good or bad or right or wrong. But the 5 year old is perfect. And then the 5 year old can learn to behave in a way to manipulate people into thinking it's better than it really is or worse than it really is or whatever it is, right? But it's never any different than it really is. It's always perfect. The baby is always perfect. No matter what the actions are of the child or the adult or the elderly person, it doesn't matter because it doesn't make anybody less or more perfect. And if someone makes a decision that others deem as inappropriate, well, the life and the experience of expansion caused by that created that decision, created that outcome, was there for a purpose, was there for a reason. Everything happened for a reason. So no matter what it was, no matter how horrible or wonderful that action is, whether they won a Nobel Peace Prize or were put in jail, it was all an expansive experience. So you can't do anything to be wrong. You can't do anything to be good. You can't do anything to be bad. You can't be more or less perfect than you are now. Everything's working out for you. All you have to do is choose to perceive it in a way that's empowering or not. And as you receive it in a way that's empowering, you float easily down the river towards things unfolding like you being able to bring forth infinite intelligence. Even though that's a incredibly wonderful thing, it doesn't make you any more perfect. So as you are now, in the perfection that is you, we want you to go on this week, have an experience, have an experiment, notice how everything is working out for you, notice how you're perfect, everyone else is perfect, notice how you tend to judge people, you tend to judge yourself. Notice that you can release that judgment, that you can see everyone as good, that you can see everyone is moving through their life in a way that's expansive. Allow everyone to be as they are. Notice what you are receiving. Notice how you are allowing things to come to you. Notice the indications that you're getting of resistance, and then release that resistance and just have a fun week. And with that, we are complete.
Woohoo!
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I feel right now that's just calm, relaxed energy that had been flowing. I don't. Did that sound more or less boisterous or more or less calm than normal?
I'd say it's kind of pretty average.